Hey, welcome back, everybody. Of course, you know me. My name is Dr. Keith McNally. This is Coach's Corner. This is actually going to be a special edition of Coach's Corner, only because I'm not quite sure where this conversation is going to go. I'm here with Carroll Dey, and hopefully I do have your name correct because we've had other conversations. You've been on the Question Guy podcast. You've also been on Conversations. It's a playlist on my YouTube channel. We are now in 2024. It is February 1st, and although I'm told I'm not supposed to give out dates because it really doesn't matter in the cyber world. However, it's very clear that something different is going on in 2024. The energy is a bit different. You've recognized it. I've recognized it. We're going to start our conversation off talking about why things may be different. Carroll, welcome to the conversation.
Thank you, Keith. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. How are things?
Good. Things are good. Last time we talked, I think I was getting something of a cold. Excuse me, clearing my throat. Things are good. I definitely think the holidays are over. February 1st is a great day to be talking to you and kicking off the month and the next 11 months.
Well, good. Then let's get the next 11 months started on a good note. I know that we've talked before this call. Things are different. Things are exciting. There's lots of energy in the air. And I want to claim that it's good energy, despite the fact that there are lots of bad things going on in the world right now. So we have a lot of upheaval, wars going on, and there's still a lot of inflation issues in America. Still, people are recognizing there are significant energy shifts for those who recognize that very fact. And I know for a fact that I am very busy trying to make real change happen with things that I'm doing. However, things are going on in your life as well. Tell us about it.
Um, your point, I'm going to start with what you just said about the world and the upheaval that things it feels like the earth is moving almost under our feet every single day. If you choose to listen to the news, it just sounds, it makes a lot of people unnerved.
Mm.
At the same time, for those of us that do believe and feel energy shifts within ourselves, I feel that there is a seeking almost, maybe that's the word, to find joy, because the alternative just doesn't seem healthy. And I think starting in the new year, I've been talking to friends, a few in particular, that think on a spiritual energy level. And when I'm around them, I feel uplifted. I feel their positivity. I feel that they want to find joy. And I really saying that to you, we have to find that from within.
Mm.
And not get caught up with the craziness outside. We can, but it's going to do us a disservice. So I start my day in a prayerful, spiritual way, and then I exercise, and then I move into the day. So that's just a little background on your question. There's a lot of new people coming into my life with that new energy, both personally and in my real estate business.
So how is that energy affecting how you do work? Because you just said you are a realtor. You buy and sell houses. At least you help people buy and sell houses. Where do you do that at, and how is business? I'm curious now.
My office is in Washington, D.C., in Georgetown, and I am spending more time in the office around my colleagues. That's the first thing that changed during COVID. No one went in the office, and everyone's back in the office now. So that energy really is the underlying pulse of how my year has begun. Business is starting out strong. I have a lot of of, of potential deals that are happening, both with purchasers and with people that are selling their homes. I have 3 listings on the market. So last year didn't begin that way for me. This year I have a mindset that is also very different. I said to you previously and right before we came on the air that doing the mastermind retreat with Bob Berg at the end of last July, the beginning of August 2023, reset my whole being. I also, and I'm kind of being funny but serious, when the pacemaker was put in my chest on June the 2nd, I think there was an elixir in the pacemaker, and theirs feels like there's new blood going to my brain that I didn't know existed. And I could say that about my 93-year-old mother and her heart surgery, but to be saying it about myself seems surreal. So I'm in a healthier place, I think, physically, mentally, spiritually, coming off of last year was really challenging. And I kept my head above water. And of course, I did my best to stay positive. But starting out these last 31 days in January was a total mind reset for me.
I've had other conversations with people because I have conversations with people all the time. And a word that we're using that I'm seeing and I'm using specifically for 2024 and I'm hearing other people talk about is resilience. People are stepping into being resilient, being able to take on or being faced with challenges, especially the challenges that we've had in 2023 last year, and are stepping into a new, whether it's a thinking model or a motivational model or whatever that looks like individually, stepping into new energy. People are wanting to tackle new challenges, but in a different way this year. And I think that's more and more evident as people are choosing to be positive, choosing to step in the right way, and not, like you said earlier, we could easily be distracted and disheartened by what's going on at a grander scale. But when you narrow that in to the individual, they are stepping into each day prepared and ready to overcome the things that are going on in their life. Is that going on with you?
Yeah, I want to go back to the word resilience because I think that word is one that was used after when people commented in LinkedIn in particular, after our last 2 interviews, our last 2 talks together, people use the word resilient. I think resilience happens with the other word you just used, and that is choose. In order to be resilient, you have to choose to step into that change. You have to choose to change your life. And I think that's a lot of what we talked about last time is, and I haven't really said or even thought about saying this out loud, all the things that I went through, I know they were choices, but a lot of them were obstacles and things thrown into my way that clearly I chose to be there, but I really didn't mean to. And I think that's the difference now is this choice feels, there's an intuition, there is a structure's not the right word. It feels like there's this, what you just said, resilience, choice, but the wanting to have a purpose in my life and to connect with people and surround myself with people who enhance that purpose, who bring joy to my life. In the decades past, I didn't have this consciousness. Maybe that's where I'm trying to lead to, as what you just said, is it's a different consciousness where we who are coming into one another's lives, because when you have the consciousness, you attract like kind. I think that's what we are all evolving to right now.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm totally with you. I totally agree. I think as we, whether we use the word consciousness or greater self-awareness or whatever that space looks like for each of us, there is definitely a bringing together of like-minded individuals. Now, we're using the same words, and I'm not using them just because I actually use that on the Envision Speaker series as part of the description. I do bring like-minded people together in conversation because when people of the same mind and the same thinking come together, we enhance the ability to make change happen. And so when we become into a subconscious or spiritual level of awareness, it's easier to make change happen because we are working together. We are not in conflict or in opposition with each other, and energy flows a whole lot better. I want to get back to how that's actually helping you be better at what you do, because now you are attracting people that could be colleagues, that could be coworkers, that could be clients, that could be whomever. You mentioned Bob Berg earlier, but it grows in scale because you are now having conversations with different podcast hosts. You are expanding your world and sharing your message. That means people are hearing you, people are being attracted to what you have to say. How do you think all that is helping you advance your mission of helping people? I know that's a big question, but I know you've got some insight on it.
I said to you earlier, and the first thing that comes to me is my voice is getting stronger because with your guidance through these conversations and the other people I've spoken with, I know that what I've been through and the changes that I've made are resonating with people.
Yeah.
And I feel it more in an intuitive way right now because we are in the beginning of the year and just really beginning to do this. I feel that it feels palpable to me. And that those are the words that are coming to me in the most genuine way. I'm going to digress and talk about it in a business relationship. And I think this is a pretty good one. I have a new listing on the market in the building where I live in Northwest Washington. It's an estate and it's on the market for under 300,000, which for an 1,100 square foot apartment in Washington, DC that is a pretty low price, believe it or not. So I had someone call me on Friday and the same person came into the open house on Sunday. And without even seeing the apartment, this person started negotiating with me to make like $100,000 lower offer. And initially I felt anger, when he started doing it, when the person started doing it over the phone. And then when they came to the open house, which by the way was insanely busy on Sunday, he started doing it again without even seeing the apartment. He started like negotiating. And he then proceeded to tell me everything that was wrong with the apartment. And I'm feeling this anger like bubbling inside of me, and I'm like, shift gears, go to Giver, like bring Bob, like bring everything you're talking about. You have to now bring it into real time. And I just stared at him and I said, you know what? If this is the apartment for you and you're interested in purchasing it, why don't you call me and I will go over all the other sales in the building, the comparables, and then we can decide what you might want to offer. Because he's like, I don't even know what to offer you. I mean, so when I talked to him, in a calm, looking him in the eye way of not letting any emotion show, which is sort of number one with Bob Berg's books on sales. No emotion. The guy totally stopped and he shook my hand and left, and I've never heard from him again. So I just diffused his need to do what he was doing. So that on a very small scale is an answer to you on business. And I'm fine, and I've had numerous other kinds of conversations, but different, with people that are all revved up, and I have to diffuse their angst to bring them into a calmer place. And it is who I am, but I'm approaching it from a different mindset, from my calmness and my awareness of my calmness, because what the energy we put out, we get back, right?
Mm.
So if I got all caught up with him, it would have been a madhouse. So I just stayed really calm. So that's one, because the real estate business is highly charged. You know, we have clients, customers, people who we speak to from all over the world in Washington, D.C., and from the least expensive to multi-millions. And I do all of it. And I don't treat anyone differently if they want to buy a garage space or an apartment for 250,000 or a house or a condo for 10 million. You're going to get the same service from me. And that's really the when I was working on Sunday, I was saying that to myself. I thought, you know, my behavior is no different in this apartment than it is if I were at the Ritz or on one of the streets around me in a multi-million-dollar house. You treat people with respect, no matter where you are, but it doesn't matter what the price point is.
So early in this conversation, you said you were becoming more self-aware, more conscious of your decisions, more conscious of your choices. And so that was very clear indication. Your story was very clear in terms of you are making very specific, intentional choices of how you think, of how you behave, and how you respond to circumstances. And so that's got to benefit you, must benefit you professionally and personally, moving forward. Yes.
I think it does, but I think the thing that you've gotten me to then take the next step in saying is, and if I was around one of the owners, one of the managing partners of my company, they would say, but you've always been that way, right? They would say, but that's how you've always done your business. But I think for the conversation that is coming here between us is, and to the people who are listening, is my back to the word consciousness.
Mhm.
There's like that same thing might have happened a year or two ago. And I would have been like, oh, when that person left, I wouldn't have shown it. But now I'm just like, it makes me laugh, you know, and it makes a great story. Before I wouldn't have looked at it that way.
Mm.
So it's not changing, it's enhancing the way I do my business. It's adding that consciousness of, okay, what words am I using? So not that I was a phony before, but I have not been, or I wouldn't be the success that I am. It's just the patience and that palpable energy that we're talking about all around us, and coming away from it calmly and with a sense of humor, because if you enjoy what you do, then it should bring you enjoyment. It should bring you like peace and calmness, not angst and
Mhm.
anger.
Well, in this conversation, you're using the word peace a lot. So internal tranquility, internal stability. So what is this peace that's now encompassing you? how are you experiencing this, and how are you, sharing that with other people? Because quite frankly, it's needed.
Thank you. It is needed, and I'm sharing it in a way that I couldn't have before if I didn't have this maybe confidence voice.
Mm.
There's a homeless guy on M Street in Georgetown who I've been talking to lately. Just started talking to him as I was passing by, and I want to hear his story. And I never did that before. And the guy's telling me things about the city where I would really like to go to the mayor's office and strangle her because of the way that people are being treated in the cities.
Mm.
And that's not a political statement. It's one of how do we help people? Um, so your question is peace. And this person, this homeless guy, is not sitting there with anger, by the way. He's not, yes, he's complained to me about the fact that they sleep in summer tents and it's the middle of the winter and nobody cares and they can't go to the shelters because they're full of bed bugs and nobody's helping them. And so I've just been praying for the guidance how to help him and people in the city, like what can I do? So that's what I mean about peace. And I think in the beginning of this conversation, it is a mindset. I'm going to use that word again, because when I leave my home and I go out into the world, it is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. It is crazy out there. And you really have to stand in your calmness to get through it, because there's sirens and it's, living in the city is not easy.
Mhm.
But how do I do it? I pray every morning. I meditate twice a day. I read things that give me enlightenment and faith and joy. One of the things that has really kind of come to me lately is we live in divine order, don't we? And you know that you're exactly where you're supposed to be. Like,
Time. I lost you for about 20 seconds, so go back to divine order and I'll edit that part out.
okay. What I said is one of the things that is really obviously obvious to me now is that we live, from my readings and the things that I've been really paying attention to, is we live in, if we believe in divine order, then we know that the way we live our lives from the beginning until right now, no matter what age we are, is what we are supposed to be doing to lead us here today.
Mm.
And if I look at the lessons, which I've shared with you, the tragedies, the triumphs, and the trajectory that it's taking me into, then I realize that everything I've been through has given me this wisdom and this peace and this enlightenment to be able to help others and to speak in a way of truth, so that people understand that it doesn't matter if you're 20, 30, or 80, 90, like you got to where you are because of things that happened, and now you can either use it for the best or not.
Well, with all that being said, and us being here in conversation, where do we take, or where do you specifically, where are you going to take this mindset, this energy, and this peace, and how are you moving forward with it professionally this year?
So thank you, Keith. The podcasts with you and with other people is one route that I'm taking. I hope to be doing TED Talks. I am starting to design how I want to write a book. I am going to be doing little short videos that I use for real estate to get out into the neighborhood. And I think once people hear this podcast and the others that you and I have done and the ones that I'm doing going forward, that hopefully people will start to reach out to me for real estate and for life, and that I can, even if it's just listening to us and not reaching out, if we can help people change their lives and their energies and their way of thinking just from this little bit of time with us, that is why we're making the investment in time and energy to do this.
With the limited amount of time that we have left, you want to talk about anything else? Anything else on your heart right now? I give you the floor.
Do you want to talk about wine?
Let's do it. We got a minute. Let's talk about wine. You tell me.
So I was in the wine business, in the wine importing and sales business for 20 years. And only because you and I talked about this a little bit before, am I bringing it up? When I taught wine seminars for a number of years in law firms to law associates. And it was kind of a little bonus. This is a long time ago. And I would open it by saying, wine is made from a grape, grape. It is a grape. It is not anything fancy, but a grape. But how and what is done with that grape is what makes a wine $100 a bottle or $10 a bottle. If you like a striped tie and I like a polka dot skirt, that's our taste. And what I want to get across to people is you have to taste wine in order to learn about wine. Your palate is different from mine, maybe, or different from the person next door. You might like a sweet wine. I like a dry red wine. Like everybody has to choose not what is in and hip, but what they think is best and what they love. Like if I don't like chocolate chip ice cream, but you do, then you can have your bowl and I'll have my vanilla with chocolate sprinkles. Like that's really how I want to help people understand about wine, is you really have to get it on your palate and taste it and take all the snobbery out of it and know that it is such an enjoyable thing, but you have to know what you like, and it's not what the next person likes, it's what you like. That's my little lesson for the day about wine.
Well, we have to go, you and me, maybe some friends have to go to a wine tasting, but we'll do that when it gets warmer.
Okay, good.
Carol, thank you so much for joining me in conversation on Coach's Corner. And this isn't the last conversation, so you're going to be back, and we're going to make sure that your message gets out there and to everybody that we can share it with. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And thanks to your audience for listening to us.
For those of you who are watching and listening, I'll see you next time. Take care.